Hey,
Should I repeat
everybody, welcome
myself?
to What Happened?
Should I repeat myself? Do you think if
Sure,
they
just
try
for
to
the fun of it.
quiet a mutant, you got to mute a mutant? Do you think that's what happens? That's
Welcome
not
to
where
the
mute
Dad
came
Joke
from.
show, everyone.
Not even it's a sad joke.
It's-
Forget a dad joke.
My name is Vito Delsante. His name is Dean Haspiel.
Hi everyone.
Try it again. You
I'm
said,
Dean
hi,
Haspel.
everyone. Try again.
Hi everyone. I'm Dean Haspiel.
Jesus Christ. What a great. This is the Vito X Dino podcast. I wasn't able to say that. This is episode 63. Our special guest tonight is a contributor to Stray Requiem, especially issue number 3. He's doing the backup called Opposite Day, which we'll talk about in a little bit. He's also the artist on Stray, The Beast Within, which everyone has heard me talk about over and over again on this show. Ladies and gentlemen, David Jaxon.
Hi, everybody.
Dr. Nick.
Hi,
Wow.
welcome to the now.
Oh my God.
So we've got a bunch of things to talk about in terms of not just the Stray Kickstarter, which is going well. We broke $3,000 today. We're 150% funded, which is great. Thank you, everyone. We are 13 backers away from 100, which, we want to reach that milestone. We've got 15 days, so tomorrow will be 2 weeks. By the time everyone watches this on Monday, it'll be less than that. So, yeah, obviously we want everyone to take a look at the Kickstarter, contribute what they can and everything. But Dean, let's talk turkey. We lost a giant in the industry this week.
Yeah, Sam Kieth passed away and he was 63. Uh, Famous for drawing a certain way, it wasn't really my thing, but I
Yeah,
respected it. In fact, he drew a cover for the Verdict miniseries I did in 1987.
yeah,
I believe it was Brian David Marshall who recruited him because I don't even know if I knew of him at the time. Uh, and but that seemed more traditional, that cover, than what he would go on to do.
yeah,
Like the
absolutely.
Max and a lot of people dig his Wolverine story he did in Marvel Comics Presents.
Mhm.
I mean, he's done a ton of stuff. He kind of had a really gritty style, but a goofy style. Kind of like Bernie Wrightson meets, oh, I don't know, a stipple brush. Like it was. I mean, David, you're an artist. What did he have any impact on your work at all?
Oh yeah, yeah. Especially the Wolverine you're just talking about. I like to have that like in my shelves over here. Like, man, that and the Max early on, especially for like learning anatomy and stuff. Man, like that was like inspirational. Huge.
Hmm. 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 And Vito, I'm hearing a schmoozy sound coming from David. Is that David? Do you have a mic? I'm not using a mic. I just
I'm
worry for the
using
recording.
here, I can turn my headphone back on and off.
Do you hear that, Vito?
I just hear, yeah, he sounds a little muffled. Yeah. What do we got?
Sound better?
Yeah, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you got to talk more than you are right now.
There we go. Okay, I got it. All right, it works.
Okay.
So Sam Keith, like
Well,
I
sounds
kind of
fine
fall
now.
in the same category, Dean. Like his art wasn't, the thing that attracted me at that age. It's so weird. Like I was watching something the other day, or reading something, and it said childhood is like having a crush on Ginger Grant, but adulthood is knowing why Mary Ann's the better one.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the same thing with art. It's like when you're a kid, all you want to do is look at like Jim Lee or Mark Silvestri or something like that. But like when you get older, you start looking at Vaughn Bodē, you start looking at Bernie Wrightson, you start looking at Sam Kieth, and I think the the kind of absence of borders for his work in a sense, where it just seemed to be so free flowing from him, from the Max, from the Wolverine story that you guys were talking about, to Batman Lobo, which I got to meet Scott Ian over at Jim Hamley's Universe, who wrote the story, like just, when I was younger as well, Kelly Jones was on either Batman or Detective, and his Batman has like the super long ears, and like his cape is really, huge and stuff, and it's
It's like his
very
cape was made
expressive.
out of flesh. It was like so organic that like these guys are. And to speak to what you're saying about like when we were younger and what we get attracted to, and then you veer toward the more seasoned, kind of professional. Like I think a lot of people were afraid of Jack Kirby's art, when they
Yeah.
first saw it. It was spooky and scary looking, and then you start to admire it and go, "Oh my God, he's incredible!" Right?
Mhm.
But I feel like Sam Kieth came from like was cut from the cloth of like you said, that outlier, like intentionally an outlier
Yeah.
versus I don't think he ever even tried to draw like a Marvel or DC comic, like he was invited to like basically do your thing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And he was definitely
And
not on model.
not at all,
Yeah.
and like where there might have been a house style early on, then that was abandoned for like, the John Burns of the world and the George Perez's. But then this guy comes along, you're like, what is he doing here? Who invited him to the barbecue? Kind of a thing, like, and that's another reason why he stuck out. And it was almost too much. He was almost like a precursor to Image Comics. Like he was, it's like as if, but then again, when you think about Image Comics, those guys were already working in the mainstream and then
Right.
left, right? So maybe that's a bad example, but it was just such outlier work that you either liked it or you didn't. It had nothing to do with whether it was good or not.
Mhm.
It's just like how do you embrace and accept it,
Yeah.
and so and in a lot of ways that's what I admire the most,
Yeah, I would agree. Like, let's not also forget that his book, The Max, was also an animated series on MTV. So
Right.
it's not like, we might not have been the audience for the book at the time, but like somebody was digging it, and somebody just said, this needs to be animated. This needs to be seen by a lot more people. And like you're putting it in a animation block, I think it was called Liquid Television or something, with Aeon Flux and a couple of other, like groundbreaking comic cartoons. So you think about that, and then you think about Savage Dragon was a cartoon, Wildcats was a cartoon, Spawn was a cartoon on HBO, but the other two were more like, I think, on the USA channel with like a Saturday morning kind of block. But then Sam Kieth is like kind of like eschewing all of that, and he's on MTV. Totally
Mhm.
different audience, totally different like demographic.
Like
So
edgier,
yeah,
um, more hip, let's say, in a way, um, punk and hip hop at the same time, kind of a
yeah,
feeling, So, yeah, I get it. But like a lot of people were, I mean, it's always sad when someone passes away, but man, that kind of like came out of left field. He had that disease that Robin Williams had, I believe.
right. Louis something dementia.
The Yeah, the Huey Lewis disease.
I don't think it's called that, but like
I'm
but
making a bad joke.
it's the disease that Robin Williams was diagnosed with. But just for the sake of clarity, it wasn't what killed him. Uh, that was suicide is what killed
You're
him.
talking about Robin Williams,
Right, Robin
right?
Williams.
Yeah, and then I was reading some testimonials and how this disease was really crippling him in a lot of ways.
Mm,
And Sam Kieth, that is, I mean, anybody who gets it, but like he was basically, I forget whose account it was, but they basically he knew he was having his last conversation. The person's account didn't know they were having the last conversation with Sam, but Sam was basically saying goodbye
mm,
like a couple of years before he died. That's how
wow.
bad I think it was. And it's just so sad because, and I just found out today that Chris Miskevich, who we had on the show recently, one of his best friends, Ozzy,
Mm,
they hadn't heard from him in a little while, and he did a big time search, and he found out, yesterday that he had died. And we always say to each other, don't forget to say I love you and hug you and all that stuff, but it's true.
yeah,
It's like you never know, man. You never know when I'm not gonna be talking to you, you're not gonna be talking to me next.
right.
So um but yeah, he left a certain style and legacy behind, and that's something, and then what happens when people die is we reappreciate them,
Yeah,
in some way.
that's terrible in a sense, but at the same time, it's
You know,
it's it's kind of natural to reappraise things and just go, you know what, this guy wasn't that bad, or this guy, deserved more recognition for what he did. while he was alive or something like that.
Or just go. I mean, the cool thing, except you can't really say this about Harvey Picar, but you would think, oh, I'll go buy their stuff or go check out. Now that reassess or revisit. And like you have a Harvey Picar, you can't find his collections anymore. Or I
Right.
don't think you could find the Quitter or American Splendor. Like, why isn't that library perennial?
Yeah. You could say that about a bunch of different.
A lot of people. You can say that about a lot of people.
I'm sure
So,
Alan Moore would prefer not to be a perennial.
well, that's because he's so cool. He's doing magic.
And talking to
So
snakes.
so sorry to keep yapping, but David, any thoughts about Sam Kieth?
Oh no, I was gonna say, I think that's like a pretty generalization of like after like an artist dies, they kind of get like more famous because like people are now like they have their eyes on them because like it's mentioned in the news and like, oh, what's this guy look like or what's his artwork look like and yeah, it sucks that like people don't get the recognition until afterwards. I mean, it's great that like they're getting praise, especially him like he again like I mean in the '90s and stuff like I was in elementary school, so that was like right up my alley, like that kind of stuff. I
Mm.
was loved like the edgy stuff, darkness and Witchblade and all that. Like so like I mean I got into it at like an early age, but like it's great like seeing like now he's getting like the recognition for people who otherwise you probably didn't even know about him or knew of the Max but no idea who he was.
Hmm.
Yep.
I
Yep.
think the the kind of like the lasting impression of the Max, like just like this big, huge thing, that like this Hulk-like character in such bright colors, and then you add like other humans like Julie, the female lead of the story, and like those little what are they called? What's its or something? Those little white things. Like it's so bizarre and so like if you told me this was like an allegory for like dementia or depression or some kind of thing and you're like you read it and you're like, oh, I get it now. And it's yeah, there is an aspect of that in it, like because I believe it was about a homeless man that had this secret kind of world behind him, or was delusional or something like that. But I don't know, like it doesn't seem like that was ever really put in the press material, if you will.
And that was a '90s comic, The Max.
Yeah, it was post Image Founders. I think he was one of the first non-Image Founder books at Image.
Right. Right. I'm trying to think what he had done before that he got a Verdict cover, or he was emerging.
A
Like,
little something called Sandman.
oh, Sandman was
The
what,
first
late '80s.
89, I think, 88, something like
Oh,
that. Yeah.
really? Oh, okay, because I know he was instrumental in helping develop that style and look and
Yeah. I mean, like you look at his early work on Sandman, you were talking about Bernie Wrightson, totally right there, like in the first, what is it, 6 issues of Sandman
really.
that he did. And like you could see the Bernie Wrightson in it. And then like to jump to the Max, it's like, my goodness, this guy must have taken like acid or something. And not that that's the case, but like it just,
Right.
your mind was blown by the visual of it, like, and comparatively between that and Sandman, it's just like, there's no way this is the same guy. And it's like,
Right.
yeah, it
Right.
is.
Right. Um,
I wonder what
so
you would look like what your art would look like if you kind of like let go of all like kind of not the Kirby stuff because the Kirby stuff is great, but like if you let go of all kinds of restraints that you put on your own self, like what
let's call it Sienkiewicz, like let's just
good
call it
point.
like,
Yeah.
you know, I would love to know what that looks like. I think I know what it looks like a little bit when I draw on a napkin, a paper napkin, or bar napkin, or when I'm, drawing on these cardboard pieces of paper where I try to get loose. And
Hmm.
I'd love to be that loose, but then I get restrained because of structure. Like I'm a guy who likes structure. So as much as I'm trying to wing it and have fun and stretch my rubber band, like uh it's got to have a foundation, and if I let go of the foundation, that's where I could get ballsy, you
You
know.
think you get in your head a little bit too much? Like, oh, this
You have
person bought
to.
a Batman, I got to make it look like Batman.
You know, it's so funny because I drew that one Batman that was going to be for my Down and Dirty, just to say, hey, this is what these things are going to look like.
Mhm.
And I've not managed to capture that first drawing I did. Like I've put up some, but I feel like they look like me trying to draw well or something, you know. And I'm like, I don't want to draw well. I feel like I've earned the right to not draw well.
I would agree with that.
Thank
I
you.
mean, I think there's got to be a point in a career, and I would hope to, I'm being bold by saying this, but I would like to think that you've already gotten to that point. If not, you're at that point where you could just sit down at a table and just go, fuck it. You know
Yep.
what I mean? Like,
And
and
draw the comic like in ink without pencil kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
You know, just indicate everyone knows what it is. You know, just have some fun with the brushwork or whatever the hell I'm using, whatever tool, a toothbrush, my
Mhm.
elbow, you know, and that's going back to Sam Kieth. He almost had the spirit of that, you know, in
Yeah.
his art, you know, like right out the gate, which is very it's galvanizing in a lot of ways, you know, whether
Mhm.
you dig it or not, it doesn't matter at that point because he's doing something to you,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's important. Anyway, so
David,
we
you've gotten a little freaky on stuff, not necessarily stuff we're working on, but stuff I've seen, like where you've used exaggerated anatomy and, kind of stretched a couple of things. Like, do you feel like that's your kind of fuck it type of style, or do you have that? You know what I mean? Like, is that even in your brain when you do stuff like that?
Yeah, actually, so like I used to like emulate styles. So like I jump around depending on like the subject or like whatever the book is. So like when I first started out, it was like more of a Michael Turner thing. So it was like
Mhm.
really that like blocky kind of thing. And then Joe Mad, I really got into. And so then I started doing like really cartoony stuff. So if you look at my stuff from 15 years ago, there's like a Joe Mad like thing into it.
Yeah.
Then Ryan Otley, you can see some of that in like some of the pinup works I do, like character designs.
Mhm.
You see like more of a Ryan Otley, like simplistic, like expression, like still exaggerated, but like simplistic. And yeah, I love doing that kind of stuff. It just kind of depends on like what I'm doing. Like with the Stray stuff, it's like more of the gritty, like shadows and stuff. But so like character designs and stuff, usually like I kind of have fun with it. Like especially if it's something crazy. Like I did one where it's like somebody holding a magnifying glass and it's just a character standing on the table. So I just do whatever I want with that because it's like that as long as it looks like it makes sense because I don't
Yeah.
have reference for a guy standing on a table with a magnifying glass over him. So like I can do whatever with that. And that's when I love to do it is like the character designs and stuff.
Yeah. So rest in peace, Sam Keith. But I do want to give a happy birthday. Today is March 26th, and today's Jose Luis Garcia-Lopez's birthday. I
oh
think he's 89,
wow, he's an
maybe
angel.
86. But yeah, what a guy. Dean, you talk
Yeah,
to
I
him
was just
all
looking
the
at the
time. Like
I
you,
mean,
I was
I've
just looking
seen
at the
him.
DC book,
Yeah, he
the
did
Pixels.
the character designs in I think the 80s.
yeah, the
Uh,
DC style guide.
the style guide
Yeah,
for all the DC characters. But I mean, that always comes up, and that's great. Just like Alex Toth did a ton of designs, right?
Mhm.
But like he drew great comics. Like this
Yeah.
guy's unbelievable. In fact, he drew, if I'm correct, so this is a fun little bit of business. Uh Batman 66, which was
Yes.
based on the Adam West, Burt Ward, 60s TV show. And that would then they did like DC did a bunch of comics. I drew like three stories. Um, Vito, you should have written some of those.
Nobody called.
And
I would have done it.
I know, I totally, I mean, but apparently there was a script that was written and never shot.
This is the Two-Face one, right?
So Two Face. Now, a couple of things about that. I'm going to jump around real quick. You know, when you see the beginning of the TV show and all the animated characters, I believe there is one animated drawing, or maybe it was left on the floor, the cutting room floor of Two Face,
Mhm.
but he might be in that
I
opening.
believe, I believe
But
so.
we never got a Two Face in the show. Do you know who was supposed to play Two Face, or they were going to cast?
I don't know, but I know who they cast in the cartoon.
You mean in the comic book?
No, in the cartoon, they did an animated version of Batman 66 with Two-Face, and it was, well,
What?
I don't want to say
Well,
who. What?
Well, I'll say who they wanted to in the real live action one.
Okay.
Clint Eastwood.
In the animated, they had William Shatner.
Oh, interesting. Weird.
It was good.
I mean,
It's
now I got
interesting.
to see that. But
Yeah,
anyway, I believe that script was originally written by Harlan Ellison.
I thought so. Yeah.
And then Jose Luis Garcia-Lopez, I believe, well, I don't know if it was adapted. I assume it was adapted. Either I don't think Harlan Ellison adapted it. He might have. He's is he alive? Is he with us, Harlan
I don't
Ellison?
know anymore. He
I know,
he he
right?
disappeared at one point, saying, "This is it. I'm gone. I'm going to be dying soon." And he disappeared, and he was gone.
Okay.
And I don't know if
All
he ever
right.
actually died.
Well, so I don't believe I mean, it could have been like a Marv Wolfman or somebody did the adaptation. I don't know. We can look it up.
Mm.
But anyway, Jose drew that story that never got filmed for the TV series. And I need to get that comic. Anyway,
Yeah, you need to also watch that cartoon.
yes.
But
I didn't realize that they did Batman 66 inspired cartoons.
yeah, there were two that they did that right
But for
before
what?
Adam
For
West.
what?
Right before Adam West passed away, they did one where it was like all of the bad guys, kind of like the Batman 66 movie. And then they did the Batman versus Two-Face direct to video. It was like these were both two direct to video things, so it was
Okay.
and the thing that you're talking about is called Batman the Lost Episode, Batman 66 the Lost Episode. And it was written by, where is your credits on this page? Harlan Ellison proposed an episode that would introduce Two-Face. DC released Two-Way Crimes of Two-Face. Why doesn't anybody have a credits sequence? But we know Garcia Lopez drew it.
We do know that.
I
We do
remember
know that. Who turned that into
that. I can't find information on for some reason. Stupid Batman wiki.
oh well.
Like you're doing me no help.
And it's funny because this could actually veer into, and I know we should talk to David Jaxon about a little bit about his career and who he is. But can we do another like little weird topical thing, or do you have one?
No, but Len Wein.
Len Wein wrote it.
Yes.
Oh wow. Okay.
Probably right before he passed away too.
I was gonna say. Uh and then Roy Thomas declared how he helped co-create Wolverine.
Wolverine.
There you go.
Oh, what a sore spot.
I'm sorry. I know.
Here's to you, Senor Garcia Lopez.
Absolutely. Cheers. Happy
Here's to
birthday.
you. Can't wait to see you in Baltimore.
That's why I usually see him. Sometimes I see him at the rest stop on the way to Baltimore too.
Did I ever tell you this story? This is one of my favorite stories about Garcia Lopez, and it has nothing to do with comics. It was a New York Comic Con. Sadie was, I want to say she was about a year, maybe two at this point. We had gone to go pick up our car at the garage right around, there, or, by the Javits Center. And I go up to the booth to, give them my ticket to grab my car. And I turn around and I look, and there's Garcia Lopez kind of like doing all cutesy noises to Sadie
Come on.
while she's in her stroller. I was just like, how? Like, how do you, like, he's so good. Like, he's such a gentleman and so kind, and he's just a lovely person. Like,
Absolutely. I know when his wife passed away, I think a few years ago,
yeah,
that obviously hit him hard. And you always wonder and worry what's going to happen. Do they follow suit, pretty soon? And luckily he stuck around. So
yeah,
big ups to Jose Luis Garcia Lopez.
absolutely.
You had sent a link to something, but do you want to get to that in a little while?
Yeah, let's hold off on that. I
Wait
did
on
want to
that.
show you a couple of comics I bought this week.
Okay, and then I have a Batman adjacent kind of query.
Oh, that's interesting because some of my stuff is Batman.
Cool.
All of my books this week, with the exception of one, was written by Mark Waid. Crazy enough. So we got this guy, which is World's Finest number 49.
49.
And it has the Crime Syndicate, which you put the Crime Syndicate in anything, and which this actually plays into David's story, his backup story in Stray, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Like
Oh,
it's
cool.
very interesting, that this book came out this week while he's on the show. So there's that. There's this Justice League Unlimited, which is a follow-up to, or the fallout of DCKO. You notice, noticeable by his absence is Superman, because at the end of DCKO, Superman is now kind of like a godlike being, and he's off of Earth. So,
wait, is KO canon, or is it like an adjacent universe?
oh no, it's canon, bro.
So wait a second. So they finally made Superman a god?
Basically, yeah, he became King Omega, which is what the KO and DCKO stands for. So he became King Omega. He is now got the Omega Force that Darkseid had, and now he's kind of a god, and he's kind of exploring the universe. And then we'll go. I'm sure there'll be some stories about that. Speaking of this, with 900 different covers, I will tell you the story.
Wait, say what it is for this.
It is Superman, Spider-Man #1. This one is I believe the DC published one. There's also a Marvel published one that will be coming out in about a month or so, maybe a little.
Oh, it'll be different stories, kind of like the Deadpool,
Spider-Man,
Batman
Superman
one. Got it.
Kind of like Batman, Deadpool, and Deadpool, Batman.
Got it.
Mark Waid, our buddy, hit it out of the park with his story, the main story, with I think Jorge Jimenez did the artwork. Yeah. But I also have to shout, freaking Matt Fraction and Steve Lever, man. They did a Jimmy Olsen meets Carnage story that is every penny of $7.99 worth this book. Like this book alone, just for that small story of Jimmy Olsen by Fraction and Lieber, absolutely incredible. And then finally, we actually just mentioned this book a couple of minutes ago. I got this in the mail this week.
Wait, why? How?
What do you mean, why? How?
Why? How? Why now?
This book is called The Verdict. We just spoke about it a couple of minutes ago. It is by Martin Powell and Dean E. Haspiel. I don't know who Dean E. Haspiel is, but I'm sure I'd enjoy meeting him. But talk about it, Dean. This is The Verdict. You've mentioned it before.
So do me a favor, open it up. And is the first page like he's standing on a building, eagle or Art Deco type thing?
No, the first page is
lunatic.
Yeah.
Oh, and that shaking cover in black and white. How far does that go? Is it just the 4-issue miniseries?
Yes.
Yes. I can't stand my art in that.
I know you can't, but you know what's really funny? David, one of these days we're going to do this with you. We're going to look at some of your work with Sean Mack that you've done in the past, and compare it to what you're doing now. But you flip through this, and like I can see the Dean I know. You know what I mean? The Dean that I worked with on Batman Adventures. Right. And then there's some things that are like you're totally influenced by working with Chaykin.
Absolutely.
Totally influenced with working with Walt Simonson and Sienkiewicz. Like you can see those influences almost readily on the page. It's kind of an incredible, like, I don't want to say time capsule because that's exactly what it is, but it is like what a fun way to look back at, my co-host and like my partner, my buddy, and one of my best friends, like just to see where he started. And
I just did the math. So the book came out in 87. It's funny because I was texting with Brian David Marshall, the publisher of Eternity Comics, today about doing some artwork for him on something. And also he was inviting me out to hang out tonight with Evan Dorkin. And I turned it down because I got to talk to you schmucks. All right. But I just did the math. And if I drew it in 1986, I'm sure, which was a year after I graduated high school and wasn't going to go to college, but then I did later, 40 years ago.
Wow.
40 years ago.
And you're asking me why did I pick it up? Why did I buy it? Why did I go? And it's because there was a point not too long ago on Facebook where you, myself, and Martin were like, we should have Stray meet The Verdict or something like that, kind of in passing. And I'm like, I kind of want to know what that would be like. So, I figured I don't think I ever read these when they first came out. I don't think I was in a spot like in 86, I was living here and there was no real comic store.
Here being Pennsylvania.
Right. And there was no real comic store to get independent work. So Caliber, Eclipse, like all of those things were kind of foreign to me until I got much older. So
So
like
David, where do you live?
I'm living in Illinois. Yeah, I was actually born
Illinois.
in '86.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I didn't want to say it
I'm
and
not
then
allowed to talk to you.
oh
That's
boy.
ridiculous. That's
86.
crazy, man.
86, I
yeah.
was 13. So that makes sense, Dean, if you were like 18 or so.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Well, but in all seriousness, did you see a deal or something? Like, what prompted you to?
Absolutely nothing. I saw it on eBay. I was like, I want to own this. I want to be able to talk to Martin and you and, like have like a frame of reference and
We
just,
should have him on the show,
we
man. Oh
definitely
my
need to have him on
God.
the show.
Wow.
But
And
yeah,
it's
it's,
funny. He ordered some books from me a few months ago,
mhm,
and I popped in a little cardboard drawing of the verdict,
mhm.
and he has not said anything, which means he hasn't opened the damn package in a few months.
Good job. Thanks, Martin.
Come on, Martin. All right. So
And also like again, like the other reason why I wanted to buy it is because I wouldn't call it a relic, but like it is a time capsule. It's like it's just so it's kind of like there's a Chaikin cover and there's like the Sam Kieth cover that you called out a few minutes ago. It's such a bad reproduction of it, like it's so
yeah. Yep.
the black and inks are washed out and stuff. There's an entire like if I were you and Martin, I would try to reprint this at some point because
Oh
like
God.
this does not give Howard Chaykin any justice.
No, not at
You know what I
all.
mean?
I mean,
Or
it's black and white. Yeah, that's
yeah,
not.
and that's fine. Like there's plenty of good black and whites. But like, who is this cover by? Like I can't even tell by looking at
That's
it.
Dennis Cowan,
Oh,
and
totally.
apparently, I think his then assistant named Gabriel somebody inked it, which is why it looks kind of like a Joe Simon kind of
Hmm.
stylistic inking in a way.
But the Sam
And
Keith
then that's
cover
the
does come
Sam
out pretty
Keith
well.
cover. Yep, yep. So,
Can you
wow,
believe
it's
this?
funny. I'm looking at some of the artwork that I did there, and I can kind of see. I still draw that way a little
This
bit.
face is totally a Dean Haspiel face. Like
That's crazy.
this one
Wow.
a little less so because it's so rounded, like in
Yeah,
little
yeah, yeah, yeah.
shapes and stuff. But like
Right.
you can still see it. But like this guy right here, that's totally a Dean Haspiel
That's
drawing.
crazy. Wow.
But I'm almost done with it. I haven't finished reading it, so I don't have any opinion yet. But I'm
Oh,
enjoying it. You know what I
all
mean? Like
right. Well,
fun.
thank you. I
Yeah,
mean,
absolutely.
so you read these comics that you showed us today
Hmm.
already.
Yeah.
I'm having a tough time getting to comics, man. And I actually read Daredevil #1, the new Daredevil,
Uh-huh.
because it was given to me at that Daredevil party that I went
Talk
to.
about talk about the Daredevil premiere because my
So,
goodness, I wish I was in New York.
so Anna Senti and David, sorry that we're talking, like jump in at any time, okay?
No, you're good.
So I got invited by Anna Senti, who wrote Daredevil, to go to what I thought was the premiere of Daredevil Born Again season 2. And to get there, and they're not showing anything because it's just famous people. It's just the actors and producers and directors and writers who make the show in combination with the comic book people who have contributed to Daredevil. The only person that didn't belong there was me
Because you're not
because I've never done
never worked on
anything.
Daredevil
So I
yet.
felt a little bit like imposter, syndrome. But I like comics wise, I hung out with Ron Garney a lot, and his buddy, obviously Anna Senti. I hung out with Chip Zdarsky for a little while, and Stephanie, whose last name right
Stephanie
now
Phillips. That's who's doing the
all
new
right.
Daredevil. Yeah.
Frank Miller, I hung out with a little bit. CB Sobolski. I met Michael Lark for the first
Oh
time.
wow, cool.
He was there. Gatos, what's his first name?
Michael.
Michael came up to me and was like, Dean. He's like, and we had met like eons ago or whatever. And I'm like, so it was really like, oh my God, all these different like cartoonists and writers and people who all contributed to Daredevil except me. But and then of course there's the actors, who are just all hanging out, taking pictures and whatnot. I met well I had officially met Vincent D'Onofrio years ago, and
Mhm.
I talked to him about that a little bit because he was on my street in Carroll Gardens
Wow.
shooting, like I think he was on one of those cop shows where he played like a an oddball kind
Yeah, he
of.
was on Law and Order, Criminal Intent.
I think that's, yeah. So I think he was shooting that, but I went up to him and I told him how much I loved him in a movie called Happy Accidents. And then he just took me to the side and we just talked about that. So I reminded him of how kind he was, and he was very kind. And I met, you know, I did pull up the cast because I knew that we forget these names and just want to use it to prompt. Uh, I met Margarita LaViva, is how you
Okay.
say her name. She plays Heather Glenn. I've
Yes,
had a mad crush on her ever since I've seen her, and I forget what shows.
absolutely.
She's unbelievable. Charlie Cox was there. I didn't go up to him. I don't know why. Um, Deborah Ann Wall, I went up to her. She plays Karen Page. And she took my hands and I said, listen, you got a lot of street cred when you did that video with John Barenthal and teaching him Dungeons and Dragons. Have you guys ever seen that?
Yeah.
I was
I'm
like,
not.
major street cred. Check that out.
She's
It's
she's a
really cool.
huge D&D nerd. She runs a show.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, she runs a game in Hollywood, like with different actors and stuff.
Yep. Yep. I met Wilson Bethel, who plays, you know,
Bullseye.
Bullseye. He was really cool and sweet. Who else did I meet here? Ayelet Zurer, I think her name is.
Oh,
She plays
you
Vanessa
talk about
Fisk.
you talk about beautiful. My goodness, that
And I said to her, "You're such a beautiful actress." And I was trying to say that your acting is beautiful, but it just
uh,
came out like you're hot.
she makes me
Field
she
security.
absolutely makes me swoon. She
Un-
played she played Superman's mother in the Zack
oh,
Snyder
that's right.
Man of Steel. She played Lara Zor-El, and
That's
like
right.
she's just radiant. Like she's just I can't imagine meeting her in person. I'd probably faint.
Oh, she was great. She was great. And who else? Michael Gandolfini, who I went to him and he was also on my corner one night.
Oh, funny.
Uh, I think I might have told the story on our previous in our podcast, but he was on my corner hanging out with two girls at the bodega right next to Lucali's Pizza, which is like the big pizza place in New York and one of the top 10 probably in America or whatever. So it always, you know, lots of Jay-Z and Beyonce are always there. It's really
Hmm.
strange. And he was standing in the corner. I was like, yo. And I had just been watching season one of Daredevil and Born Again, and it had just ended. He happened to be standing there, and I said, "Listen, dude, you're getting too big for your britches. King, don't even try to fuck with Kingpin. He will destroy you." You know? And he just was cracking up. So I reminded him of that. I said, "I don't know if you remember this, but you were standing," and he was like, "You're that guy." Like, so he remembered, or he acted like he remembered. Um, I'm trying to think who else was there. There was a lot of other people, and I'm looking at the list right now. And one of my favorite, oh, he was on Better Call Saul. He plays a swordsman.
Oh yeah. I
Uh,
forget his name. He was also on Game of Thrones, I believe.
oh, was he?
Think.
Yeah, he's a Mexican. He lives in Mexico. He's a Mexican actor. He was a little standoffish because he was sitting to the side with his pal. I think he was just there to like hang out with some of the other celebrities and just walk the dog and do the do kind of a thing.
He was just
But
there so he doesn't get fined.
he was doing his job,
Yeah.
you know. He didn't do anything offensive. I could just tell he was a little like, I just want to get through the night kind of a thing, you know. But nice enough, and I wish I could remember his name. Now
Was
I'm doing a
Bernthal there?
disservice.
Was
I did not see Bernthal there, but he's also in Dog Day Afternoon right
right. I
now.
was going to say, like,
So
I wonder if you
I
got a
have a
chance to.
feeling, yeah, I don't think he could make it. And then one of my favorites, Matthew Lillard,
Oh yeah.
who I went up to him and I was like, we've never met, but I drew the SLC Punk comic book. And he stops me. He goes, I sign that comic like once a week, man, like forever. Fans come to me all the time and
That's
like they're
great.
making me sign this thing. I was like, I wish I was better at likeness. And he's like, no, 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 it was great. And so I met him. That was really cool. And then later on the night, I saw him again, and we just wound up hanging out. He had his hand on my shoulder, and he was talking. I was talking about like I've written plays. I'd like to show him something. So whatever. Everyone was there to have fun. They're all excited about the TV show. And everyone's like looking at them and taking pictures and want to be around them. I met Lou Diamond Phillips outside as we were walking in, I tapped on the shoulder and I was like, I know Chris Miscavige. And he looks at me, he's like, what? I go, Chris Miscavige? He goes, oh my God, the comic book guy. Yeah, man. Because he had, I think Chris had told us he had been a stand-in for Lou
Yeah.
Diamond Phillips.
Yeah.
And so, and then we suddenly connected and he was like, oh shit. And then later on the night I saw him again and we had to take a picture for Chris that I put up online. So he was really cool. And I mean, is he in the show? I don't know. I mean, maybe, you know, who knows? I think some other people showed up that were just there to show up and hang out. I whatever. It is what it is. It's like, and like the space was dressed up with like all kinds of Daredevil, Kingpin kind of pictures and posters, and you know, it's like the walls were all dressed up. I mean, they spent a bunch of money, you know.
Sure.
It was 2 floors, and I'm sure I'm missing some other you know, little moments I had, but that's what those things are. You just kind of like make yourself available. I wasn't prepared to like. I had my black T-shirt, you know, to go watch a TV show is what I was doing. So I felt like a little bit of an idiot. But I had fun. Oh, and Charles Soule, you know,
Yeah.
God, who else was there? It was just a lot of fun, man. It was nuts. So yeah, and that's my Daredevil Born Again season 2 party report, uh, which is
You
a
don't
lot of
get to do
fun.
that in Illinois, do you now, David?
No.
It's funny because he definitely did not say Chicago, right?
No. I
Right.
thought I
Yeah,
thought you
no.
were living in Wisconsin. That's funny when you said
No, yeah.
Illinois. I was like, oh,
No, yeah. So I grew up in Chicago. Like I went to, Schurz and all that. So I grew up in Chicago. Then I moved to Niles. My girlfriend also lived like in the area. She got an apartment for school out in Wisconsin, so it's like a back and forth thing.
Right.
So yeah, but yeah, my primary residence is in Niles, Illinois. Hers is in Wisconsin.
I met him in Chicago, actually. I met David 4 years ago, 5 years ago, or something in
Yeah,
Chicago
yeah.
at a Comic Con Revolution, which is the only one they've done in Chicago, or not the only one, but it was the last one they did in Chicago. I've been dying to go back to Chicago. Comic
I
shows in Chicago are really nice, man.
I,
They
I
really are.
dated I may have mentioned this, but I dated a woman whose mother got her husband had passed away. My girlfriend's father had passed away when she was young, and had remarried a man who they lived in the Playboy building in
Hmm.
Chicago, and he was the president of Dean Foods.
What is it? What are the
And
odds?
she's dating Dean, you know, the daughter, my girlfriend at the time. And Josh Neufeld was living in a place called Wicker Park, okay, which was the very opposite side of, I think, Chicago. And I remember getting a car service to go visit Josh from the Playboy building, this beautiful area of, you know, and then getting a car, and it got like kind of weird and like kind of ugly. And I looked to the side. I'm like, what the hell is that over there? It looks like the most terrifying thing ever. It was a place called, I think it was called Cabrini Green, where Tony Todd, Candyman.
Candyman.
I think they shot
Yeah.
Candyman there. That's how. And I'm a New Yorker, and I'm like, this place is terrifying. Like, I'm scared of
Yeah.
whatever the hell I'm driving by. And we get to Wicker Park, which was more like hippy dippy kind of thing. I think Ivan Brunetti lived there, and some other cartoonists. I don't think Chris Ware lived there, but and then Josh and I hung out with Josh in like, you know, this kind of like domestic space, and we hung out. But it was going back and forth, and it was just, you're aware of it in your own hometown when there's like a ghetto or a fancy area or all that, you know, but you don't think about it. But when you go somewhere else, you're super aware of it for some reason,
You
you
are
know?
not you were like in my brain. When I did the show in Chicago, as I was driving home, my car, like a belt on my like a engine broke literally on the highway. So I had to get off. I had to find a spot, and they weren't going to be able to fix it until the next morning. So I had to stay an extra night in Chicago, and it was so weird because I didn't know where I was. I mean, I called an Uber here and there, like to get places, but like for some dumb reason, I go, it's a city. I know where I'm going. And like I explained it to Michelle, like, when I got home, it was like all of my instincts were just reversed. Like I was going towards the bad side of town. If I had gone the other way, which I would have
Mhm.
thought was the bad side of town, that would have been the right side of town to be. So I'm just like, where, like it doesn't make sense. Everything's
It's funny it's saying that because like yeah, you just went the wrong like that's the beginning of a movie, right?
yeah,
Like you're
totally.
totally. But I remember whenever I go to Baltimore Comic Con, and we stayed either one or two hotels usually, and then there's the convention center. But if you go one block over, like one block over, not by the water, or whatever, but one block over, they everyone says that's where the Wire is, and I'm like, what are you talking? It's one block, and
It
I did
totally.
it once, and it was true.
San Diego's the same way. Like when you go to the San Diego Comic Con, if you just go like 2 blocks from the Gaslight District,
Right,
it's just like Escape from New York. Like there's like bail bonds places and stuff, and
right,
there's
right, right.
like a jail, and it's just like how did this happen?
Yeah,
But it's weird
yeah,
because San Diego, like they keep expanding the size of the convention center, and they keep expanding the size of the event area, and I feel like they're gentrifying all of that. Like it's so weird.
yep. Well, like let's get to know, or I mean, I don't really know David.
You
So
don't.
tell us a little bit about what comics you do and like what you're doing with Vito.
Yeah. So I took kind of a hiatus after some surgery, so I haven't really done too much in the last couple months. But yeah, I've done like tons of like for the indie community. I did a couple issues like Marvelous. I did some Red Talon back in the day. I did a bunch of things with like 15-year comics. I got a bunch of stuff coming out with them too. We got like a coloring book and a kids book and all kinds of stuff. And then with Vito, funny thing is like Vito, like a decade ago, I applied for like they had like little contest with him and Tom Hutchison, and I came like runner up. I didn't color,
I
didn't do
think you
anything. I just
won.
like no, I didn't. I didn't. I was like second or third, and I was like, ah, this sucks. And like I don't know, like we kind of like talked about it and stuff, and we didn't know each other at all at the time. And I don't know, he just kind of was like, you got something there, just keep going. It was very inspirational. I was like, all right, cool. And we became friends on Facebook, and then I don't know, just kind of snowballed into like, hey, do you want to do chibis and stuff like that? And did Stray Chibi a couple years ago, and now we're
I don't
doing
think I've ever said
chibis
that in my
and
life.
Jimmy.
Yo,
chibi.
do you want to do chibi with me?
Yeah, what
somebody,
at the
somebody
time,
listening,
yeah,
please commission Dean to do a chibi anything.
No,
I
no.
would like, please.
Those are like little Modocs, right?
Basically, yeah, like
yeah,
little
kind of,
kind
yeah.
of Japanese kind of. Do I have? I should have it. The
But
cover.
I usually have one over by me.
Oh, you know Thunder Bunny and Pack Rat, that
Mhm.
comic, right? I think the Red Hook is appears as a chibi with a whole bunch of other characters that are like chibi designed, I think, in that comic book. So I am a little aware.
Crap, I
And
don't have it.
literally little.
Yeah.
Yeah, Scotty Young has done some work with like chibis and stuff. Uh, Also like they had whenever they do what is it, Murder World and stuff. I think it is. Sometimes they have like the chibi X-Men and stuff.
Oh,
Oh,
like
searching.
what's his name?
There we go.
Mojo. So
Mojo, yeah.
you're looking at
So
a
they
page from The Beast Within currently. This is obviously Stray and Sam, and this is the Beast Americus, who's the villain. And yeah, this is page 5. You
Talk
can see
about loose pencils, man. Like there's definitely structure there, but it's also very loose. Like, are you inking this as well, David?
Yeah, yeah. So the funny thing is when we first started it, initially it was like, let's just do layouts and have fun with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we just did layouts, and he's like, some of this is like kind of tight, and like usually when I do my own line works and stuff, I can go from like really sketchy to just ink it straight over it, and I'll be fine. So he's like,
Mm-hmm.
do you want to just ink it straight like this? I'm like, yeah, I can do that. So we're going to like this is what my layouts usually look like, so not my straight pencils.
Right.
Yeah, the bottom there is kind of like what more of my pencils look like. It's much
So
cleaner.
so is this
Um,
digital or pencil?
this is all pencil, and then I digitally will. So I work like in segments. So each one of these like panels is like different stuff. So like the bottom whole section is just one entire sheet, and I'll draw that on the giant board, scan that, and then like shrink it down to fit the panel, so that I can fit in like all like details and stuff, like the top panel there with all that. Because instead of it being like that small, I actually did it on 11 by
Right,
17
all right,
boards.
hold on. Now I'm getting a little confused here. So this is not layouts. This is
This is
layout.
layouts, yeah,
So wait, you're drawing not on one piece of paper to figure
yeah.
out the. That's
No,
crazy.
yeah, yeah. I've actually some of I've shown him like my process, and like it doesn't make too much sense sometimes.
Well,
Like
because the layout is where you work out where like the structure, the angles, whatever,
yeah,
this and that, the storytelling. And then when you go pencil it, of course, is when you elaborate on it, right? But
yeah,
like to me, to do panels separately to then figure it out and then resize. I know Chaikin these days for the last, I think, 10 years maybe, just draws figures out, standing like in negative space. And then I believe he has an assistant that does backgrounds, and then they just put it all together in Photoshop. And you can kind of tell. I hate to say it,
Hmm.
like sometimes you can
hmm
tell. I liked it better when he drew on the page everything, that was there. But to actually try to work out a layout in separate panels is, to me, that's crazy.
yeah. That's
But
that's people think it's crazy. I've tried to explain it to people some, and I don't know, it's just the way my mind works. I used to do straight up, just the regular layouts.
right,
Um, but then I started doing some because I work in the hospital a lot of the time, so I don't have all my stuff with me, so I kind of have to work on pieces of paper or whatever I have available. So some of those are like on like the back of like sheets from like the
now,
doctors and stuff, and then I
wait,
just
so you're
Photoshop and
doing
put them all together.
so you're doing like you're creating layouts while doing surgery?
Yeah, so yeah, I had surgery January, and
Oh, no,
then
no, no, no. I'm saying
oh no,
you said
not
you
no,
work in a hospital.
No, no,
You're
no.
no,
the
no,
surgeon.
no, 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 no. I no, I had surgery, and then after surgery, I was bedridden for 2 months. So like no walking, no nothing. I couldn't do any of that. So I was just sitting. I usually just sit in bed and I either like binge tutorials or just do layouts and kind of just go back and forth. It doesn't make too much sense until it's like done. Like some of the stuff I've done for Vito for some of the other stuff, like I've shown him the progresses, and you just see like here's this panel, here's this panel, here's this panel, and then it's just everything's done, just randomly, everything's just finished.
That's
And yeah,
crazy.
it's just the way I
Like
work.
Vito,
Yeah.
You approve a panel at a time?
No, I'll actually just go, okay, that looks like on model, or, that's kind of what I was going for. Like I'll look at it like, in terms of like piecemeal with the script. But obviously, like until I get the page, like one of the things that we found while so we're doing this, right? He's doing the layouts, and I started lettering it. And I was like, I don't have enough room for letters, like I need to get him to adjust this panel. And I just started looking through, and I started doing like different layouts for him, like again, in my very simplistic, I don't have him over here,
Mhm.
but like very simplistic kind of like way. And like what he did was basically just go, I swear this is, he didn't say this, but I swear this is basically what it was. He goes, oh, you just want a square panel. And that was it. Cause
Right,
like they were more, a little more abstract or something like that. And he's just
right,
like, oh, you
right.
just want structure. I'm
Well,
like,
all right. So this is interesting because you're talking about writing to layouts and figuring out the lettering sizing to before you like I'll indicate in my layouts where words should go. And
mhm,
then of course when I go to pencil and ink and finish, I don't get it totally right because I'm
mhm.
still guessing until the lettering comes afterwards, right? So, and in fact, I think I want to in the future when I completely give up on comics, I think I want to letter my comics again. You
Mm.
know, just go
Like hand
full
letter.
analog, hand letter, and then draw according to the space.
Mm.
You know, the thing that one of the things that lettering digitally does is allows you to rejigger your script. Like once you get the artwork back, right?
Absolutely.
I mean that's when you're working in collaboration. I guess I could be doing that to myself.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
But doing I feel like it's antithetical to like do this thing that David is doing because the page to me is an organization of and not that you're not organizing with separate panels and trying to figure out and resize. That's what you're doing when you're putting it all together, I guess, right? So in a way, because you're the guy that's ultimately what do you call it? Not auditioning a page idea, but you're proposing the page. You've already now figured it out. But do you ever feel like you've drawn a really cool panel but like and then you put it into the page and the flow doesn't actually work because of the other panels?
Yeah. So the way that I like want to start it, like in my head, I kind of just envision it like just real quick, like nothing crazy, just just the flow kind of. So just make
Mm-hmm.
sure that whatever I'm working on kind of flows with it. So like
Mm-hmm.
read it left, right, left, right. And Yeah, as long as I do it like that, then I'm fine. If I like kind of just go in it and just like, okay, this panel is just this guy yelling or whatever, which I initially did, and with like my earlier stuff, I had to keep changing. Then I had an issue, but like now I kind of like right when I see the script, I'm just like, okay, how's this gonna flow? Like, what's the order of like this and that? And like even like the stuff that like I had shown him, there's like overlapping panels and stuff. It's like cascading, but like each
Mhm.
panel is still like its own sheet, and it's like they overlap and everything, but it's like forms into like the way that it like properly read.
No, it's just
It,
fascinating to me. I would never occur to me to do it that way. But like, hey, you know, if it works, don't it ain't broken. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, that
fix it.
Yeah.
yeah. It wasn't always how I did. I used to do like the regular stuff. I used to do like the red pencils or blue pencils and all that.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, but then when I was in the hospital and stuff, we started using like light pads and like all this other stuff. So I'd use like a little light pad that I can carry with me to a hospital. So I'd have
Right,
like something really small that I'd be like, all right, I can transfer this over to the big board and transfer this over to a big board when I get home. And then I was like, okay, might as well just work like this. And then when I get home, just Photoshop it together instead of sketching everything out. And then when I get home, put it on the board and then finish it up on like a light pad. I'm like, why don't I just cut the middleman out and just sketch it straight and then Photoshop it together?
right.
And yeah, I know. Yeah, but originally I didn't. I mean, I worked in comics 20 something years, 24 years. So like for 15, 16 of those years, I just was like regular. And then I kind
Right.
of developed like different habits and stuff to try to compensate for the way that like I had to draw at the time.
So, do you write as well, David?
I collaborate with, like with writers. So I like Stanton Fink is one of my buddies that I help like me and him are writing some stuff. I nothing that I've written has come out since 2010, I want to say. It
Hmm.
was a book that me and my brother did. It was just me and him did everything, pencils, colors, inks, all that.
Hmm.
And that was like the last thing that I wrote that came out. So it's been quite a while.
So,
But
guys,
other than collaborative, yeah.
talk about that backup feature that you said was relevant to something was
Yeah,
topical before.
when we looked at the crime syndicate.
Yeah,
So
and then talk about the comic, the one shot. All
yeah,
right.
so let me share my page. This is going to be for the first time. David's not seen this, and it's going to be the first time everyone sees this, really. Um, Here is the first page of Opposite Day that David drew and Matt Major inked. Uh,
Well, is Matt inking it with ink or is it
I
digital?
believe he's doing it digitally. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And here's one of the things about David that I think needs to be said is that he can design a character like nobody's business. Like
Hmm.
he's just so like if you give him an idea, he just can run with it. Now, granted, Stray, the bad guy opposite version of Stray is named Rabid. That was designed by Matt, but da- like David kind of did everybody else, which was so hard. I can imagine, like to do heroic versions of bad guys that exist in the Stray universe, and then villainous versions of good guys in the Stray universe with no reference whatsoever. He just basically came up with it on the page. And this is only the first page, so I don't want to show too much, only because Matt's still linking them number one and number two. We got to keep something for Kickstarter backers to kind of look at. But
Yeah, man. That's
like
cool.
I absolutely adore this page. Danny Faust wrote this, so it's not based on the concept of going back to our conversation about the Axioverse and you know all the different worlds on the world tree. This is one of
Hmm.
the worlds on the branches. So
Hmm.
it's an opposite. I think it's Earth Sigma or something like that. It'll
I
be
see, I see that that you have the stray bone, but stray's not on this page, right?
yeah, he is. That's Stray, but his name is Rabbit.
With the mask,
Yep,
with the mouth, kind of like road warrior type, whatever
yep,
thing.
that's
Yeah.
correct.
So this is wow, that's nuts. I thought this dude stole from Stray his bone.
No,
Like,
this is an alternate universe where Stray is evil.
wow, that's nuts. You know, you're crazy, Vito, because like you don't do evil Superman, right? Until like many, many years and many stories, and you've run out of ideas, and you're
Right.
already jumping into all the alternatives, you know?
Here's the thing. I don't want to give away everything of mine, but that story and that idea of an evil stray is crucial to the final stray story that I have plotted. Like you have to know what that looks like and what that character could be
Right,
to understand that final story, so it's again, like I know how stray ends, so this is part of letting people know
right,
certain things that will inform that story later on.
right.
But
So how many
again,
pages is this? And you didn't you consulted on it, right? You didn't
basically,
write
yeah,
it,
Danny wrote it and David drew it.
right?
And
And
it's
wait, how
six
many
pages.
pages?
It's the
Six
backup
pages.
of issue number 3, which is currently on Kickstarter. But I'm so like over the moon for this story. It's just amazing. Um,
That's cool.
it really is. Like I'm very proud of what it looks like, and like how you know David. I think I'm not speaking out of school, but I know a lot of writers that are kind of like in the same level, maybe echelon as I am, like where, we're not, famous, or we're not, going to go to Marvel anytime soon or anything. And I know a lot of guys that have wanted to work with David, and because of health concerns or because of whatever, like he's just been unable to commit to anything. So the fact that I got him to do number one, a backup, and then number two, a one shot, just for me. And then we have another thing planned that we're going to do at some point as well. I want to show a couple of more of his design work. Um, so give
And
me,
what was the decision to have Matt ink it, Matt Major, rather than David?
well, if you remember, a couple of weeks ago, I was saying about the Beast Within. I needed to find an inker. I needed to find an inker. I want to get an inker so I can get this book out. And at some point, he was like, "I'll ink it," and I was like, "Oh, I didn't want to, pull you away from, whatever. Like I wanted you to, I didn't want to be you to be committed to me, in a
Right,
sense, So I wanted to give him the opportunity to kind of work with whoever. Um,
right.
this is Locksmith, a character that I came up with one day because I was thinking about Mr. Miracle.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
you can see, I gave David like a very, I wouldn't say it was a very basic, but it was an AI generated design. And I was like, you can make this. I know you can make this look better. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the keys on the belt, on the boots, like I didn't
Right.
think of that, like, but yeah, he's so good with design. I can't stress it enough. Like this guy is just an amazing, amazing artist. Um,
And that's pencils tightened up, or would you consider that inks?
So I do pencils with traditional inks, and then I digitally clean it up. So there should be a pencil in there somewhere. It's just straight pencils. I know I have it on my
Well, what I'm
physical.
saying is Kari Randolph taught me how to take my own pencils because I can pencil very, very tight to the point where I'm like, why am I even inking it except to maybe get a brush kind of effect, you know? But he showed me how to tweak it and make it just the line art. And like, so a lot of the Fox that I did is just pencils,
oh yeah, I
just
didn't know that.
straight up pencils. There's no ink. There's a couple of pages that are ink, but most of the Fox work I've ever done is pencils. It's also because Archie doesn't pay well enough for inks to have it inked. Let's put
Hmm.
it that way. So, but
Here's
yeah,
another here's another design. We're also working on a third book, a couple like probably a couple of years off, called The Chain Gang, and it's basically my version of Copra or Suicide Squad. And
oh
so
wow,
this is Black Shard. He uses glass almost exclusively for weapons, for
mm,
bullets, for
that
gun.
looks awesome. That
Yeah,
looks
and you can
great.
see David did the gun in glass. Like it was just like, oh, that's like so unnecessary.
My only worry ever is now draw that over and over and over again.
Oh, that's the best part about this guy is he uses all those pieces of glass, so eventually they won't be there.
Thank God. He runs out of his own costume.
Yeah, exactly.
That's his kryptonite.
But again, like his design sense is just uncanny. Like for somebody as young as he is to have that kind of almost I'm trying to think of like some of the better costume designers, like a Mike Norton or a Garcia Lopez. You know, like he's got
Right.
such maturity with his choices that I
Yeah.
really enjoy working with him.
Very cool. Very cool. So tell us a little bit about the bigger, the one shot that should it be ready by Baltimore, you think?
I hope so. The Beast Within. We've talked about Beast Within on here before, and it's basically my Antifa comic. The other thing about the very important thing I want to bring up about Stray the Beast Within is that I didn't want. I was almost consciously trying to find an artist who wasn't an American, and it's
Hmm.
because I didn't want anyone to take any kind of heat that I would get from you know, people that support the current administration because of a story I wrote. And
Hmm.
so as I was kind of seeking, artists and stuff, I started talking to David about it. And he's like, I'll draw that. I was like,
Right.
yeah, but I don't want you to. He's like, no, no, I'm cool. Let's do it.
Right. Right. And so, David, like, what do you feel about this one shot, this Beast Within? Like, you come on board. Like, what are your feelings about it?
Dude, oh man, I love it. And to add to like what Vito said, he even like was like, hey, if you want the option, we'll give you like a pen name or something, so you don't have to have
Mm,
your name on this.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, no, like I don't do pen names and stuff. Like I want to be on this. Like there's a lot to the book, and it goes over like I don't want to give it too much away is the thing, but there's a lot of lore in it and a lot of like backgrounds of the characters and stuff, sort of like a what if kind of thing. But it's just amazing. I've been a fan of Stray for a long time, and it's always fun to like work on Stray. But like to be able to actually be in like the continuity is just amazing. And
oh,
it was just
cool.
like a fun thing to work on. And with Vito and stuff, like his one like every time when we work on anything, he's just like just have fun with it. Like just have fun. And so anytime I work on anything for Vito, it's like if we have a fight scene or anything, I'll be like, here's this, here's that. He's like, that's awesome. Whatever you think looks cool, that looks cool. And like we'll just keep adding stuff and like we'll bounce ideas and stuff, which I don't know, I really love that kind of like relationship when you're working on a book because so a lot of books that I work on, and I'm sure you understand it too, it's like you'll do something and then they'll be like, all right, cool, next page, and you'll just keep going until it's done. But like we actually bounce ideas, like, hey, would this look cooler? Would that look cooler? How about we change this? Maybe this angle will look better. And like layouts wise, like he'll send me something and be like, hey, change this to that, maybe do this, or we make this a little smaller. And it's just like that adds to it because it's like it's more collaborative that way, and we're getting
Right.
like different views, and I love that type of relationship when I'm working on something.
That's great, man.
I don't know any other way to work. That's the thing, like
Yeah,
I'm like I love working with people. I mean, Dean knows this.
Yep. Yep. That's cool. Um, was there any other things you want to talk to David about in terms of career, or do you want to get to some topics?
I do, like I said, we are working on another book called The Chain Gang, which is, basically our Suicide Squad for the
Right.
Strayverse. And the the thing about that one that when I think he did the Black Shard costume, and I
Hmm.
presented him with an idea, and he's like, "Well, what if we did this with the glass and stuff?" It's like, "Go for it!" Like that's amazing. And then
Hmm.
just seeing how it's so weird because David is very I don't think I've ever gotten a non-enthusiastic response from him where he's like, "That's cool," or like, "Awesome," or whatever. Like he like, and you don't know if it's genuine or not. If you hear it enough. But he was so enthusiastic about these characters, and I was like, I I don't want to do it with anybody else. At this point, like I feel like you're the co-creator of this, thing. So why don't we just do it together whenever we have the time? So, we're working on that. Like I have it partially scripted because I was trying to finish something else, but I'll be going back to it relatively shortly. And maybe next year, maybe the year after, maybe end of next year is probably more likely, when it'll happen. But
Mm-hmm.
I just, as he was saying, like I got goosebumps when he was saying that, like, I'm easy to work with, or however he put it. And
I got a boner.
and I mean, I strive for that, like that's the thing, that's my goal, is to be easy to work with so that you want to work with me. And like I said, like a lot of guys in my same kind of pseudo, professional, hobbyist position, I guess, are always, David's a pretty reliable guy, and like he's a pretty, good guy to, get on a design, but to try to get him to do a book has always been harder. So for me, like, to get him to do a book, I must be bringing something to him that he wants to work on.
Oh yeah, I mean and you can tell by David's enthusiasm just talking about it. I mean, that's what you need. That's what you need
Absolutely.
in a collaboration, because it can get challenging,
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. So no, that's exciting. And it occurred to me just now, and I'm sure we've kind of circled the drain with this, is like Marvel Comics Present, you need to do a Vitoverse Comics Presents,
I know.
man. Like, you have so many different ideas, just 10 pages each character, once a month, 2 or 3, keep going, see what sticks, what hits, develop those further. I mean, if only we had the money and
That's
the
the only
time.
that's the
Because we
only
have the
thing.
talent, we just don't have the time and money,
Yeah. And I'm sure that when I do the Strayverse kind of anthology, David's doing one of those stories, like,
Yep,
absolutely.
yep.
Look at him smiling. How could I tell him no?
Yeah.
What you got, Dean?
All right, so this is a weird question, especially since I saw Frank Miller this week. Um, George Foles, we know
Yeah.
George, right? Great
The
cartoonist, artist.
Roman nose.
In fact, Roman knows. In fact, I believe he lives in Illinois. All right. Do I have his address on me? I don't think so.
Yeah, let's give it
Anyway,
out on the air. Let's give it out
let's
to
see where
everyone.
he lives. He texted me, and I thought, oh, this could be an interesting topic, maybe. But let me just find the quick text I had with him. And it came out. Sometimes he'll throw something at me. I'm like, where did this come from? Like, why is he talking about this? Oh, here we go. All right. So he says, oh, this is what happened. He sent me the cover for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that Frank Miller did.
Mhm.
And I always, and this is true, I used to go next level. It's just next level to me. Like I love old Frank Miller. Like I love what he's doing. And he wrote the way he wrote it too. He goes, George wrote, if there is a kindness in the universe, we get to see him strangle the game one last time. I need it. And
What a weird way to put that.
I know, right? And I go, if not the Frank Miller, it could be the new Frank Miller. Who takes the mantle? And then we just didn't, he kind of mentioned Samney, Chris Samney
Mhm.
could possibly, he's killing Batman and all that. And so we went back and forth a little bit. But the question really is, and this is kind of unfair. He goes, my question is, does Frank Miller, yeah, there's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle cover that he did.
And I think it's awesome.
Does Frank have one more game changer in him? And if not Frank Miller, who? And I'm talking about the artist that's going to change the game again.
Again? Well, let's remember that we brought up an article a couple weeks ago that Superman and Spider-Man killed the comic industry. Like, the comic industry's over. Like, we're done.
Right. Right.
And I get that thinking.
Right.
Like, with all the covers and all of the numbers that it's doing, can anything ever reach that high? Because these are not Jim Lee X-Men or I'm trying to think of the other one, Spawn #1 numbers anymore. Like if we're getting 100,000 on a orders on a book, we're supposed to be grateful for it.
And,
The thing is, if Frank is doing a book is it a game changer? I look at Holy Terror,
Hmm.
which he did kind of before between Batman, Dark Knight Return things like Dark Knight Returns 2 and Master Race, I believe. So I think Holy Terror came out
I
between.
think Holy Terror was supposed to be Dark Knight 3,
I
basically.
believe so. Yeah.
And I believe it was edited heavily, I think, well, for a couple of reasons, but I it was like his relationship with Catwoman, basically, and then jihad type stuff,
Mhm.
like terrorism, holy
Yeah.
terror, right? And then DC, when they got the book, was like, nah, we can't
Yeah. Yeah.
publish this. So then he, I don't know, shaved the ears and made him brown or something, and did his own thing and published it, and then got a lot of shit for it because it was problematic, you
It's an
know?
incredibly well-made book, but the timing of the story, and I know Frank has been very candid about his experiences post 9/11. Um, like it's come up in interviews before, so I'm sure he's got some kind of PTSD from being downtown and stuff. But the timing of it couldn't have been worse.
Right.
Where anti-Islamic rhetoric was just at an all-time high, if not, equal to what we're experiencing literally right now with
Yep. Yep.
everything going on in Palestine and Iran. Um, it doesn't take away from the art and the mastery of his art in that book. Um, I have not read it since it came out, so I couldn't tell you if that could have been a game changer or not. Maybe, maybe not. Does he have? I would like to think he's got an Unforgiven in him, like a Clint Eastwood Unforgiven or a Gran Torino or something like that. Like one
Hmm.
last, you know,
Hmm.
statement.
Hmm.
Let's say. I would like to think that.
I'd like to think that, and then it extends into, well, if it's not him, who, and we can get to that in a second. But I guess the question just came up as you were answering. My question is, would DC or Marvel publish? Uh, they didn't know when Watchmen came out that it was going to blow up,
Right.
and they were probably taking a chance on Dark Knight Returns, like they didn't know. How do you know that, right? So, but do you think that they would take, and that was a risk? Do you think they would take a risk like that today?
I don't think so. I don't think they're about risks anymore. I
Yeah.
think that they kind of just go with like formulaic, whatever works, keep doing that. So yeah, even when they do try to like break things up and like try something different, it's still they're the same characters, except for what was it? Sideways was the one character that they
Mhm.
tried to introduce, and then he got shelved. Like he's in the Heroes in Crisis story, I think,
Yeah.
as like, but he's like a background character. He had his own book for a little while, and
And
it
I'm
was a good
not
book. I like the character. It's just yeah,
right. And I'm not talking about like Mark Wade rocking world's finest and doing his thing. I don't think he's trying to game change. I think he's just trying to tell some great stories because he loves these characters. So,
Mhm.
I think a lot of writers and artists are like just getting a chance to write and draw these characters, right? Like they're not trying to like break comics in half kind of a thing, like actually, who I would have said before as you raised that comic? I would have said, I think the last game changing possibility was Howard Chaykin's Divided States of Hysteria.
Mhm.
So take a look at that again.
This Superman, Spider-Man, I think this equals what they're willing to risk on. Do you know what I mean? I think
Which is not at all.
right.
There's no risk in that whatsoever.
And then you look at the absolute universe at DC and how well it's doing. I mean, I would say that's a calculated risk, but it's a risk nonetheless. Um, but
Sure.
I don't know. I don't know that the parent companies of these two, publishers are in the risk-taking business. Like they're status quo, keep the line, keep it above, red, keep it all in the black, that kind of thing.
I think the last time DC tried to make a little bit of take a risk was, and I hate to even bring this up because I feel so bad for Brian Azzarello, was Penis Gate, Batman
Mhm.
Penis Gate, which was just so stupid that that's what killed that
Black
project,
label.
basically. And
it was
Black
ridiculous.
Label.
Yeah,
I mean, that was the whole point, was to, like when Frank Miller came out with Dark Knight Returns, and like you got Superman as the Boy Scout of America, like being really hardcore, right? Like that was interesting and that was
Sure.
bold, and even if you disagree with it, you could be like, I could kind of see it too, like So that's why. But I mean, again, it's hard to do that with these canon characters that have been around for 100 years. You know,
Right.
like does the game change happen off DC Marvel? Like, is Fee-Face Copra a game changer? You know, or is that just a unique vision by one artist? You know, like not trying to break the industry in
I
half
mean,
and change.
there's nothing that says it can't be both,
Oh,
but
I totally I
you
get
know
that,
what I
of
mean? And
course.
I'm not saying you're not saying that, but what I'm saying is
Yeah.
that the my answer for the game changer that we should expect at some point, or like whenever he deems it necessary, I think Pope. I think Pope can be that guy. You
Paul
know,
Pope.
yeah, more so than
Sure.
Somni.
And he has definitely contributed to game changing, like
Agreed.
stylistically, doing independent comics at mainstream publishers. I mean, this may sound really like obvious, but what if Marvel published a Captain America punching Trump in the face?
Is that a risk? I would say that is. Like,
That's a huge risk.
yeah.
That divides a lot of, like, but when he's punching Hitler in the face, I'm sure that they sold 1 million comics,
Mhm.
like, but now you try to do that, and who's Captain America punching on the cover that would be a game changer,
Right.
like, uh and again, maybe it's not Marvel and DC, maybe it's a type of comic that comes out. I know that Harvey Picard technically wasn't the first memoirist, but that was a game-changing series.
Sure.
That galvanized a lot of other people to write and draw their own real-life stories. So, I mean, is it fair to ask, does Frank Miller have another one in him? He might. Will they let him do it? I don't know. They might be afraid.
Well, he's got his own publish. I don't know. In the wake of Diamond disappearing, I don't know how they're doing it now, but he was putting out his own line of books where he was
Right.
at least doing plots and like
Wasn't
Dan
Dan
Didio.
DiDio kind
Yeah,
of in charge of that? Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So I mean, he could do it on his own. Like I think he has a publishing concern that can do that. Is it more impactful if it comes out from DC or Marvel? Probably, but let IDW do it. Let IDW, have Frank do like a Last Ronin type of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. That was a big one, and people, I've never personally read it, which is crazy. Like I want to read it, but Last Ronin, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, kind of like Dark Knight Returns. It's like the Dark Knight Returns of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and like my store sells it. I work at Target, and we sold it, and
Mhm.
like it sells out and it goes into other printings, and like now I see action figures based on this. It's not the
Wait, you're
game
talking about
changer.
Ronin?
No, I'm talking about Last Ronin, which is a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle story.
Oh, I didn't. Okay.
Look into it. Like you'll be
Okay.
surprised. It's basically like one of them. There's only one survivor in the future, and like he's kind of gone off the deep end in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Mm-hmm.
and it came out at the right time. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of manga-ish in a way, not in format, but like in a way, like in storytelling wise. And it
Mm-hmm.
like hit on all kind of cylinders. It could have been the game changer, but it's not. But
Right.
it's so well received, and it's so outside of the norm. And
Mm-hmm.
the only thing that I would say about it that, kind of like says the opposite of what I'm saying is that it's a known property. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but with a known property, you might get a lot more exposure, which is why it does so well even now.
Right. Right.
But I think that could have been like if you had imagine if Frank Miller wrote the Last Ronin, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles story, that
Mm-hmm.
could have been huge.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, again, or a stunt. I mean, I guess some of these are stunts anyway,
Good.
right? Like,
That's a very good point, Dean.
so, and maybe that can veer into this other thing that you shared to me and David to discuss.
Yeah, let me.
And I just sent you an email that I don't want you to pop up yet or say anything about. So let's get into this topic, and then I'll show you something I did in 2019
I'm just
that
waiting for it.
I actually pitched this,
I didn't
and
see
I
it
think
come
I've shown
through,
this
but
to you before.
let me do this one instead first. So let's do this first. Uh, So this was an article that popped up, um, yeah, on March 15th, which would be the Ides of March. And if you look, it's called the 2026 Ides of March, I apostrophe D, like I would of March. And there's a couple of, things here that Brian Cronin, who the author of the article, says, I'd stay away from the Marvel Cinematic Universe for the next Avengers lineup, meaning don't let the comics do what the movies are doing. Don't let the movie, that kind of thing. I'd introduce a street level DC superhero team, and the list goes on. Um, the thing is, like, when I read this list, I was like, oh, that's an interesting, like, what I would I do, at any of these companies, like, and nothing big, nothing small, but the thing I do, like, the thing that bothers me the most about Marvel Comics currently is that they have the Beast, who is a founding member of the X-Men, as one of their villains. Like,
Yeah, I'm not
I
following.
don't get it. Like, don't
Uh,
do that. Just let him be the Beast. Like, what? Not everybody's made interesting by being a villain.
well, okay. So we've been around comics forever, and these characters after a while just become like they're not you're not as familiar with them,
Mhm.
because like when Captain America said "Hail Hydra," I was in, but and I knew that it wasn't going to be, of course. But let's tell the story. Let's have fun with this, right? The
Right.
amount of people that were so angry, he would never say that. No, you're right.
That's the
Like let's
point.
find out how that works. Like, but yeah, I'm gonna hate this story. Maybe it'll be a great story. You don't
Mhm.
know, right? So like my only pushback on the Beast is like I haven't thought about Hank McCoy since when I read the X-Men in the late 80s, early 90s or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And seen him in the movie since. So I don't follow that a lot. But I mean, I understand what you're saying is I mean, there may be a handful of characters that you shouldn't touch, like Uncle Ben. Like imagine bringing him. Oh, he's alive. Could you imagine how terrible that to me is a terrible idea. But maybe somebody could write a great idea and I'd be wrong. Like I don't know. But there's a handful of characters, and so in the spirit of that. But before you share the idea I just sent you, Vito.
Mhm.
David, did you have any thoughts about that list or this concept of what I would have done? Like,
Yeah, so funny enough, I was actually going to say the Uncle Ben thing. There's like a Spider-Verse spinoff where Uncle Ben's like abusive, and like they totally 180'd him. So even Uncle Ben's not safe. So
not
yeah,
safe.
yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of stuff like, especially with the MCU, either like vice versa, MCU and comic side change. I think MCU leaned obviously heavily into the comics, but then now it's the reverse, and comics are leaning a little bit too much into the movies, to where like some of it's like not cohesive with like in story universe and stuff. And I think that's like one of the big problems is they're trying to get both audiences together, and that's a big problem when one of them's not going to enjoy the other, or the one just watches it because of the product. So yeah, I do see like that a lot with like the comics and stuff and the movies. I think they need to like dial it back a bit, just kind of do like, I mean, back in the silver and golden age, there was like one shot, or like, single issues, stuff like that. I'd love to see something like that now, like more of that, like the old school, maybe one or two issues or something, instead of
Absolutely.
these
Absolutely.
long drawn outs. And then you got to try to remember stuff from like 2, 3 years ago. Like it'd be nice to be more self-contained.
Yeah, I agree.
Talk about
I
that all
um
the time.
I for our pal Jonathan Ames, for his sake, and I don't completely remember how this worked, but the thing that took him out of comics, and I think he talked about this, or I made him talk about it on and when we spoke on the podcast, was the Korvac saga in the Avengers,
Yeah, I remember this now.
where Korvac, this all-powerful being, basically thwarts the Avengers, and I think one by one murders and kills them,
Mhm.
basically all. And then this is the part I don't remember. Something happens, and they're all dead. And like they didn't do that a lot back then. Like it was very rare that like you tried to kill a character, but you knew next issue they would be alive or something. But there was something about this story that you're like, oh my god, the Avengers are all they're all laying on top of each other, strewn out in a Avengers Mansion destroyed, whatever. And Korvac, something happens where Korvac just, I don't know if he snaps his fingers or does something, and they all come back because of something that maybe he felt bad or somebody did something to Korvac. I don't remember what it was, but that's when like Jonathan Ames was like, not that he wanted the Avengers to be dead, but it was so emotional to him that when he pulled the rug out and they just went in within a page or two, just reversed it, in the succeeding issue, he realized, wait, this is just a comic book. What the hell? It's like watching certain kind of wrestling, and then you realize, wait, that's fake. Wait, that's not, like, and once you
Kane and
embrace that
Undertaker
it's
aren't
fake, it's
brothers.
okay. Wait,
Yeah.
what?
Kane and Undertaker aren't brothers.
So, like, I think for me, I would have, could have, should have. Not that I would have kept the Avengers dead, but maybe I would have helped finesse that ending a little bit better to not lose Jonathan Ames, who would later on go on to write The Alcoholic and
Bored to
some other
death.
comics and Jason stuff.
Yeah.
So,
You ready for me to show this, Dean?
oh, by the way, Jonathan just texted me the cover to his new book,
Oh,
which I don't think I can share.
yeah. Don't
So,
share it.
just as we were talking.
Is it
Yeah,
still a Happy Doll story?
This is another book that might be in the Happy Doll universe.
Oh.
And let me just quickly, just to kind of answer without really answering. Yeah. Can I show this?
No, don't show it. Don't show it.
I won't. It's cool. I know. Wait, what does it say there?
Somebody's going to actually like enhance the picture that's being reflected in your glasses right now,
I know, right? Like,
and then reverse it and then put it.
Oh, there it is. You can see it in my glass. Look at that, like
Yeah,
Blade
I'm gonna
Runner,
find it on
right?
Twitter.
No, remember in Blade Runner? He's like,
Yeah,
like,
totally.
so you can kind of see it in my glasses.
Yeah, there you go.
So you were about to show
I'm going to
something?
share the thing that you sent me in an email.
Oh, so real quick, I'm going to
Okay.
explain this. I pitched this idea because, speaking of like beating a concept to death, what was it? Old Man Logan,
Yeah.
right? Was a series where like he was one of the survivors of the Marvel universe in the future, and I forget what had happened. Was there an apocalypse or something?
It was, yeah. It was basically Mark Miller. It was during Mark Miller's run. It wasn't even like a separate miniseries. It was
During
Wolverine.
a Wolverine series.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it just in the middle of like after Enemy of the State, it just the next issue was Old Man Logan.
Old Man Logan. Okay. And then that blew up, and didn't it become kind of like a series of sorts with other
sort of, yeah. Like there was
characters?
Old Man Hawkeye. There was Old Man Logan joined the X-Men at one point, like pulled through the.
Oh, you mean to the past, to the present,
Yeah.
X-Men type thing.
Yeah.
And then of course there was another series of like the zombie universe of Marvel and all that stuff, So, but during the height of Old Man Logan and the Old Man series, I did this drawing and I pitched it to whoever it was that got a really good laugh out of it, but I was being serious. So if you want to show. So my idea was Old Man Aunt May. And in the spirit of the I shoulda, coulda, woulda, what I would have done. I mean, I would have done a lot of different other comics, please. I mean, starring the Thing, all right. But like, there was just something about doing an Old Man Aunt May, which sounds absurd when I say it out loud, But as part of that kind of series or franchise, I just thought she should be one of the survivors, one of the last people standing.
It'd be so funny. The most frail person.
Could you? Now the thing is, I can't think of a real story idea. But Vito, off the dome, anything?
Oh my goodness, yeah. Like she's the most frail person in the Marvel universe, and she survives everything.
Everything.
Like, and there's no like, and then I would say like you could probably make the argument that she's got some kind of spider, maybe not a spider, but maybe a cockroach type of DNA.
Or she's kind of like the C-3PO and R2-D2
Totally.
Marvel. Like it's going to be there forever. Like going to survive them all, and we know people like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I added some flair, some ideas. Anybody who's listening to this should go watch this part. We're about an hour and almost 40 minutes into our podcast, so you
I
can.
mean, take your typical Steve Ditko, John Romita, Aunt May,
Yep.
slap an eye patch on her, give her some scars around that same eye,
And a skull on the eye patch,
and the
so
skull on
maybe
the eye
there's
patch.
Punisher adjacent type thing happening,
Maybe.
and then the scar in her eye looks like a spider, doesn't it?
Yeah. And
So
also,
maybe
she
there's something
just got
living
the
in there.
dead look in her eye.
Yep, yep. Anyway,
I
that didn't
guarantee
get
you,
sold.
in a week, David Jaxon will draw the entire the first.
Nice,
Like,
nice. That's awesome. Was there any other topics? I have two other little things.
no, go ahead.
So this weekend, which will have already happened by the time the show comes up, is Mocha Fest.
Yes.
And I gotta admit, I'm on the fence about going just because I'm burnt out and exhausted. And I have a lot of work to do before I'm trying to get Antimatter in print before the Kingston show and Bix and then Ithaca. But I also feel like I have to go because that's where you see your people. And that's also where you avoid people. I've been around the block so long, you're like, yeah, nah, that's okay. I don't need to talk to you. But I do want to see a bunch of people.
That used to be the show that I would go see Eric Reynolds at.
Yep.
Eric Reynolds from Fantagraphics. Gary was there too, but I know Eric more than I know Gary.
Yep.
Like I would just hang out with Eric, and sometimes Tom Spurgeon would come into town, and I would hang out with him. But,
oh shit! You just made me think. Ariel's here right now, drawing her strip for the Red Hook Star Review, and like I've been talking to her about trying to get Fantagraphics, the publisher. Like, look at this comic she did.
That's like right. I know where that is. I know exactly where that is.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, she's incredible. She's incredible.
She showed her art here a little while ago when she came on while you were in the bathroom, I think.
I mean, unbelievable stuff. And I keep thinking, my God, Fantagraphics has to publish her, and I was trying to help her get a proposal together, but I think Gary will be here.
Yeah.
Really should meet her,
So there's your purpose for going.
Yeah. Good news. Jen, my girlfriend, painter, just got into her first residency. Well, technically her second residency. It's going to be the Atlantic Center for the Arts. And she's going to go there for 3 weeks in about a month or so. And we're really excited. And then your Stray Kickstarter is still happening for another 15 days, 2 weeks.
As of right now, 15 days, which is Thursday, the 26th. So by Monday, it'll be just a little about 10 days.
And then you're hoping to crack 4K, right?
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, the thing I really want to crack is 100 backers, because if we can sustain 100 backers to the next Kickstarter, which, will be in a couple months for either Beast Within or number 4, that would be great. Like I said, I was telling Carrie Sanders last night on Splash Pages for her Kickstarter.
Oh, wait, did that go up?
No, it's going to be going up, I think, in a couple of days before this episode airs.
Oh, you'll share.
We'll share it. Okay. But I was telling her that there's a potential of 4 Stray books that'll come out this year. It's more than likely going to be 3, because if you do the math, it's March, but it's ending in April. So that's 4 months. So every 4 months would be the kind of cycle. But I would love to get a Stray number 4 out before the end of the year. And I definitely am getting Beast Within out this year, without a doubt.
Right. And then the other, it hasn't launched yet. It's going to be launching on April 8th, but Real Life Comics Only New York, the anthology that we're both in, that I co-conceived, co-curated, co-edited, and has a contribution from you and me. Notify me on launch. There's a Kickstarter for that as well.
I believe it launches before Stray ends too. So I will be pimping 2 books at the same time. But we're gonna have Eli and Doug on the show.
That's right. We're gonna have Eli Schwab, Doug Latino, who are also major parts of that project. And then I think next week we're going to be talking to Jeffy Burant,
Hmm.
uh,
He's in the book too, isn't he?
who has a new book out called, I think it's called Grindhouse. And that's another thing, like Vito. I mean, he has two stories, in this Grindhouse, kind of like two different, sensibilities with two
Mhm.
different artists. Um, and I just keep thinking about like you need to have that series of yours that is just, here's more stuff. Here it is, like, but again, money and time. Yay.
Money and time. And I showed you the first 3 pages of Underboss the other day.
Yes. Yep.
So
Looking good.
that's going well. I just finished a script 2 days ago, Monday, 3 days ago, Monday, and then I did an edit this afternoon. So I'm going to send that to you probably over the weekend to read. I mean, obviously you're going to be busy this weekend, but
Right, right.
get to it.
No, I'll read it, and I love the opening page, the writing of the opening page. I also like the art and everything going on. Uh, and you didn't answer a question I asked you, I don't think.
Which is,
Who's coloring it?
oh, the artist is.
It is. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure because I know you're putting your fingers in everything these days. Like I didn't know if you were coloring as well or
No, I'm not coloring yet. That I'll learn that later. I'm still
okay.
trying to learn how
Okay.
to draw.
All right. Anything else for
No,
David?
David, what do you got coming up next?
Yeah, actually, can I screen share? I just got
Yeah,
something back from an editor last night. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Share,
Should be up at the top under meeting.
share.
There we
There we
go.
go. You can see that, right?
Not yet.
Nope.
There we go.
There it
There it
is.
is.
All right, cool.
Oh,
Yeah,
perfect.
so this is this is what I was working on for 15-year comics. This is like a sort of like a kid's book. The kid when I was like joking about like Kane and Undertaker, it's kind of like
Mhm.
that where it's wrestling themed. The kid believes he's going to be like a great wrestler, and in his mind, he enacts like all these like wrestling moves and all kinds of stuff, but it's just a kid on a playground kind of thing. And yeah, we're it's kind of take a step back from like the sci-fi stuff that I've been doing and superhero stuff to do like something more fun and like kid friendly that's like more aimed towards children.
It's great.
Um,
It's great.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, I did pencils, inks, colors, and then Wade from 15 Year Comics did the writing. But yeah, I just got this back. Those are just placeholders for the lettering and stuff. So we're just making sure everything looks right. But yeah, this is what we've been working on. We worked on it like a year and a half ago, and we're kind of just putting everything together. And I think we're gonna do Kickstarter and stuff with this
It's
probably
awesome.
later this year.
Yeah, it looks
Yeah,
great.
I love
thank
it.
you.
Absolutely.
And
That's
this
so
is another
cute.
one where There's another one where it's like how you were saying with the character designs, like none of this. He was just like, "This is my idea. This is the type of dog I want. Do
Yep.
that." And
Yep.
yeah, that's kind of what I came up with.
Hey, you got enough practice doing floppy years at this point.
It's true.
That's great, man. I have had my share of semi floppy ears with the fox
That's right.
and the red hook.
And the
So
stray, the first stray cover for the
that's
first book.
right. That's right.
All right,
Awesome.
everybody, we're going to go. All of David's information is going to be in our show notes, like his Instagram, like ways to contact him. Don't bother him too much because he's working on books as we speak. But David, thank you very much for joining us,
Thanks, David.
and
Anytime.
we'll talk to you again soon. Dean, thank you very much.
Thank you, Vito.
And everyone, go to www.iamthestray.com. We are still taking backers, so oof. Something happened in the other room. All right. We will see you guys later. Have a good night. Thanks, Dean.
Good night. Thanks,
Bye,
guys.
guys.
And that's me. Why can't I stop the recording?